Hello everyone, Kaoz here, and welcome to another old school Runescape video. And obviously it is not going to be exactly an old school video, but picture this like the Should You Max video, which is kind of life advice or tips that's directly related to RuneScape. First off, I should say that the title is just a little bit misleading. I didn't get my dream job specifically because of RuneScape, but rather it was the biggest stepping stone in the right direction for me to get to where I am today. But Kaoz, what is your dream job at the moment? Well, I am a full-time English teacher as well as a translator, and I'm not your traditional teacher. What I do is that I go to different companies around where I live who have either international partners or customers, and I help their employees better communicate in English by teaching them specific phrases or vocabulary for their position. And I also do translations for those companies. So far I've had to translate things such as contracts, some technical manuals, magazines, letters, and honestly it's just so much fun. So how did RuneScape help me achieve this? This is what I'm going to get to in this video, and it's going to be sectioned in three parts. First, I'm going to tell you a little bit about my academic background and my professional career, and then I'm going to tell you a little bit about my experience with video games as well as, as English, and I'm going to tell you how both of those things are kind of tied together thanks to RuneScape. I'm going to try to make this video in one take, other than just a few cuts just so I can, look at some notes that I have, but let's go ahead and get started. So one thing you should know about me is that I was a textbook example of someone whose life was already fixed or destined, from a very young age, and this is because ever since I remember, my father has always owned a very successful and huge computer-related business, and he always told me that he would love for me to be his successor. Me being a little, impressionable kid, I was always like, okay, I'm down. And I based most of my academic choices from a very young age towards me becoming this computer savvy person just so I could help my father with the business, and honestly, it could stay on family hands. In junior high, I took some computer classes. In high school, I took 2 years of programming. And finally, I enrolled in the computer science major at college. And you should know that at no point was I like super happy or motivated. It was more like, okay, so I'm going to do this, but just for the end result, right? In no point was I like, oh, this is so interesting. I want to, really get to know this. It was more like, this is something I have to do, right? So right off the bat, that was kind of a red flag. Not to make things super long, what happened was that when I enrolled into college, it didn't really work out, but I just kind of stuck with it. After 3 years, I knew that it wasn't really my thing, but I decided to stick with it again just so I could finish it, and then maybe I would go like, okay, so maybe the working area or environment is different, so I can give that a try, right? Oddly enough, even if it's something that I didn't enjoy too much, I graduated with honors from college for some reason, and I started working with my father. Now, again, it happened, and I didn't really feel too confident or comfortable in this position, so I was like, let's just give it a little try and, push forward. Again, not to make it super long, I quit after 3 years and I started my own English teaching business, which is what I'm doing today. So for part number 2, I'm going to start by asking, okay, so how did I get to this, computer-related background all the way to English teaching, which, really doesn't make a ton of sense. And for that, we go all the way back to when I was 6 years old and my parents got a Nintendo 64 for me from Sam's Club, and I got my first ever video game, which was Star Wars: The Shadows of the Empire. Now, me being a little Mexican kid at 6 years old, I had no idea about anything when it comes to English, other than a few colors and numbers. It was just really basic. But I didn't get really far into the game, and I was really frustrated, so my parents got me other games that didn't really require for you to read. So for example, Star Wars: Shadows of the Empire, at some point you needed to read and understand something to know what to do, but I didn't get far. So I started playing games like Mario Kart, Mario Party, and at some point I get a game called Paper Mario. And I thought that it was so, that it looked so fun, and I was like, I'm not going to let the English language be a barrier, and I'm going to learn some things just so I could go through the game. Again, not to make the story super long, I learned like a lot of words and structures and, you know, some phrases that I could go through the game, but I never actually finished it. At this point, this was 2001, 2002, and my first official English class at school was when I was 11 years of age. You should know that I always attended a German school at this point, so, you know, my education was always oriented towards the German language and not exactly English. So when I have my first official English class, the teacher was like, you know, after speaking and, you know, asking a few things, the teacher was like, oh, you already know a lot of, you know, nice words and phrases, and I'm like, oh yeah, it's because of video games. Because at this point, I believe something I did not mention is that I asked my parents for an English to Spanish dictionary just so I could piece together what to do in Paper Mario, but again, you know, I didn't really get too far. So at this point, 2000, I believe it was 2003, and in 2005, I start frequenting the website miniclip.com, and obviously, as most of you know, that's where most of you know, not because you know me, but because of miniclip.com, that's where a lot of people got into RuneScape, and I was part of that group. So I played RuneScape from 2005 to 2012, and that's everything I'm going to mention about RuneScape, because I want to put, you know, specific emphasis on it at the end of the video. So continuing on with my English and video game background, what happened was that in 2007 I went to Green Bay, which is in Wisconsin, and I spent 1 year or 10 months specifically in a foreign exchange student program. And then when I came back here to Mexico, I enrolled in an English-oriented high school, and I, you know, kept polishing my English, the use of English. You know, see, I claim to be a teacher, but then you know, these brain farts always happen. So I kept polishing my English knowledge, and then when I got into college, I had the chance to take 2 courses because I was already in the most advanced English, you know, like category or level, and I took one course called, by the way, this is what I'm doing with my computer because it's kind of shutting off. I took 2 courses. One of them was called the Business Communication, and the other one was Written Translation. Now, after that year in college, because it was like 1 semester each, I had no other way to practice English at school, and I was like, I don't really want to go to any of these institutions that, you know, claim that you are going to learn English and whatever. I'm gonna try to make something of my own. And what happened was that I mixed both of my passions together, which was English and video games. And if you know me from, you know, some other places on YouTube, is that I made Let's Play videos from 2012 to 2016. And I quit because, you know, I wanted to focus more on my work. So I stopped making videos seriously. You know, I just kind of did some like really small projects here and there. But I started, you know, I kept talking with my friends that I made on YouTube, and that is how I kept practicing the English language. So, you know, at this point, it's like, okay, so I make videos for 4 years, and then, you know, I just keep talking to my friends. So from 2016 to 2019, I worked with my father, but then I quit. And I made, well, I guess started my own English teaching business, which is what I want to talk about today, and how RuneScape helped me achieve, you know, like kind of helped me achieve this. So now that you know a little bit about my academic and professional background, as well as my love for video games and the English language, it is time for me to tell you how RuneScape actually ties these things together and, you know, get me to where I am today. So remember how I told you I played RuneScape from 2005 to 2012, where that was specifically the moment where I was starting to like learn the language in a more detailed way, and like I said before, not speaking English in a native way, so like, you know, Spanish being my main language, learning another language with a video game, not only with a video game, but with something you are truly passionate about, which was my case, you know, with RuneScape, is going to help you so much more. It's going to help you learn so much faster, whatever you are trying to do. And you might be like, okay, but don't you don't you think making Let's Plays just a little bit more because of your pronunciation and, your English, the use of English, your YouTube friends, that is correct. But if it wasn't for RuneScape and if it wasn't my love for the game that kind of sparked my joy and my interest for, learning this new, game, because you have to read, you have to write, you have to listen and everything, I don't think I would be where I am today to this extent. So those 7 years, I can guarantee you that if I didn't play RuneScape, maybe it was another game that I would find, maybe another MMORPG, and then I would, I guess polish and learn English the same way. But I am just so glad that I spent so much time playing RuneScape nowadays, right? Well, nowadays I'm thankful, but I'm thankful for the past. This is what happens with the live recordings. So I guess to kind of close this video is, I guess the part about RuneScape tying both of these things together, didn't, or I guess, sounded better in my mind. But it's just really, really simple. Like, if you are trying to learn something, with something you truly love and feel passionate about, it is just going to make it so much quicker. One thing I always tell my students is that it doesn't matter how much you try to learn English with books or movies or anything. If it's not with something that you truly feel passionate about, it is not going to be as fast. If you find something that truly piques your interest, it is going to make it so much faster and so much better that you're basically going to be thankful for it. And that is the case for me, or when it comes to my love for RuneScape, and I am just so thankful that I got to play and do all of that in the past, because it got me to where I am today, just because of the English language. I know it was a huge step going from full-time computer person to full-time English teacher, but that was basically my passion. And the tip that I want to give you guys in this video, which was like the Should You Max video, is that it doesn't matter if you play RuneScape for 12 hours a day, 16 hours a day, 6 days a week, or every day. As long as you think, or as long as you feel like you are getting something out of your time investments, you are definitely going to get something out of it. Back then, my parents always said, why are you playing this game? Why are you wasting so much time on it? Why are you, all of this, right? Is that at that point, I didn't know that it was a waste of time, and to my, in my perspective, even back then, it wasn't, because it actually helped me learn a new language to a point where right now I live, my livelihood depends on my knowledge of the English language. And honestly, it's just such a cool story to tell to everyone that I, that I teach. It's like, okay, how did you get to this level of pronunciation? And I always tell them this story, and they always go like, oh wow, so you basically got your dream job because of video games. And I'm like, yeah, that's really cool. So this is one tip that I want to give you guys. It doesn't matter if you think something is a waste of time. It doesn't matter if you think you are misplacing your time in something else. You are guaranteed to get something out of your time investments, even if you don't know it at that point. And I guess the other tip that I want to give you is that don't think for a second about staying in this, path in life, which was my case. I was, feeling really upset and, angry because I was not the best at this computer stuff. And when I'm not the best at something, I get, kind of frustrated. And right now, I don't feel that at all, because I know I'm the best, and I know I am the best English teacher around, my area and whatever. And I know that I can provide the best service that anyone can actually, pay for when it comes to any type of, help that they get from an English teacher. So don't think for a second that your life is over if you didn't get your your passion through or whatever. So just find the courage to start that business and do all of the things that you feel passionate about, which was my case. So I guess the outro part of the video, I didn't practice it too much, but hopefully you guys get something out of this video, and thank you so much for watching. This is going to be the last video, or, maybe the last of 2 or 3 videos. I want to make another video on Leagues 2, what I achieved, and maybe some analysis for the future, but that's pretty much it. Other than that, I will see you guys in 2021 when we start the guides for the achievement diaries. Thank you so much for watching this video, and leave me a comment down below letting me know your thoughts on this video. So thank you very much for watching again. Have a great day, and I'll see you soon.